So welcome to this week's episode of Leadership Soundbites with Roko and Michele. And so this week, the topic came up because I've had myself and then a number of coaching clients I've talked to, and this subject came up. So it's on the power of focus. And I'm going to kick us off with I guess it's a quote. It's something that I heard from someone.
Sounds good.
It's a quote. Because I firmly believe it. It's where focus goes, energy flows. Mm-hmm. And so I think part of it is, and I would share with Roko, is that there's so much happening in my life right now on so many different, I'll call them swim lanes, okay, because I was in process improvement and still am. And I visualize things in different swim lanes. But there's so much happening in those swim lanes and different things. So it's personal, it's different levels of business that are happening, all different stakeholders with different deliverables. And I think if I didn't do the power of focus on that one thing and be able to the exclusion of all else, and now I'm describing hypnotherapy or being in a trance, but if I didn't do that to exclusion of all else, I think I would go nuts, because when you're in the moment, you need to be in the moment. And so that's where part of the element of focus goes, energy flows. So Roko, what do you have?
Oh my God, my brain is just going, exploding, Michele, exploding. So first, there was a book, probably mid 2000s. It was called The One Thing.
Oh,
remember that? The One Thing?
Well, I know the song that I liked.
But it talked about focusing on one thing. And, a group of us had read it because of strategy, Right. Most organizations, when they're developing their strategies, they've got multiple strategies. And so it tends to create competing priorities and competing resources and all that stuff. So really narrowing your focus on the one thing can help drive faster results, can drive better engagement, and so on. So that's one place that my mind went to. But the other place that went is presence. So when we were going through our coaching program, we talk about having a presence, being present with your client, really listening and in the moment, and letting all the other stuff that happened in your day or was going to happen in your day just block them out. Mm-hmm. And being in the moment like that allows you to focus and give energy to that client and to that conversation. And then just most recently,
wow, okay,
my mind was going, I know, we're working with nurses on patient experience, and this idea of the patient feeling or having a perception that they're being heard or being listened to. And really what that comes down to is being in the moment with that person. Because if we're distracted by, I've got 4 other patients that I need to be getting to, or call lights are going off, or I'm being texted or paged on my little Vocera phone, or whatever, I'm not being present. And I probably am hearing every other word you're saying, or I'm hearing what I think is the general concept, but I'm not really listening to you. And so that's where my mind goes. So I love this idea of, how do you stay present, knowing that you have all these other things? How do you stay present in the moment with the person that you're with, or persons that you're with?
So it's interesting, because when I heard all those different things, my brain went up a level because of the commonality across, right? Because some of it is, like we talked about, presence, but I think the other is, and I'm gonna pull in another one. Strategy is one for priorities, but if you're in this space of, I can't do it, it can't be done, I'm miserable, it sucks, whatever it may be.
Yeah,
that is your focus, okay? And guess what? You are right. Because the energy will frickin' flow to support whatever's going on. And you will find that you're going to align your subconscious, your brain, everything's going to align to create the condition that you've identified, right? So where focus goes, energy flows. One of the examples I gave in one of the clients I was working with, and it dawned on me, because back when I used to ride a motorcycle, is that that if you think about when you're first learning, it's like you have to, in riding this bike, make sure that you visualize in a turn, right? That I'm making this turn. And so one of the questions I asked the client, I said, do you ride a motorcycle? And he goes, yeah. And I said, so I want to ask you, how likely do you think you're going to be successful making a turn if your focus is on going straight? He said, it's not going to happen. I said, exactly. And that's the same thing, I think, with all the stuff you're talking about, right? Is that if a patient needs to be heard, wants to be heard, in order for that to happen, the nurse has to have a focus on the patient being heard and listening to the patient. If we want to make the turn on a motorcycle, if we want to narrow our focus down in strategy, we actually have to be focused on narrowing it down, because priority is typically one. We've expanded priority being lots of things that are number one and have to be done right now. Well, that's not possible.
Yeah.
You don't have the time to be able to move forward, the energy, the bandwidth. And so when I think about the power of focus, it's all that stuff. Visualize success, what you want, set the intention for yourself, narrow stuff down to where, to the exclusion of all else, you're listening and focused and in that moment. And I think what happens is we're more effective. And I think we have more energy for what we're doing in that moment.
Yeah, because when you're able to focus, you're likely to be more successful. To your point, you'd be able to make the turn or actually hear what somebody is saying. And there's satisfaction with that. There's closure, like, I did it, I can now move on to the next thing, and as opposed to having to keep all of the plates spinning at all the time. You never get a chance to say, okay, I finished that one thing. Now I can, move on, or at least celebrate. Hey, one thing is off my plate now because I finished that thing. So there is a gratification that happens when you do focus, because you're able to finish.
Well, you're able to finish, and I'm going to say yes, and, right? Because I think about, there's the doing of the stuff, and then there's the quality. Now I have a frog in my throat. There's a quality of doing the stuff, right?
Yeah.
So the nurse may go, I was there in the room, I listened to the patient, versus the nurse going, I was in the room, I was listening to the patient, and the patient agreeing with that feeling and that sentiment, because that for me is that quality piece, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I agree with you. I'm going to add one more thing, because I shared it with you. It was about, there was a meditation Jeffrey Allen talked about, because we have so many things, most of us have so many things going, that who has trouble, show of hands, sleeping at night, right? Because your brain is processing and spinning all this stuff. Well, then you don't get the recharge and everything that you need. Well, what he talked about is creating these geometric shapes, right? Whatever they look like. They're almost like two prisms, upside down, the flat parts. And he said, visualize that this project or the projects that you have one at a time, you're storing those in those places, right? It's almost like putting stuff away until you're ready to use it the next time. But if you practice that or try it, right? And then when you're ready to work on that thing, you pull it back in and you're in the moment, you're able to do it, then you don't have all this stuff you're going, I'm forgetting something's going on. So I think that's the other piece, because when I think about how do you focus when you have all these things going, I offer this up, as Margie was saying, as one way that you can try or practice. So anyway, I love this topic. I love that you had energy around this topic as well. And I learned one thing, and it reminded me of the song, and I need to go back and listen to the song again, because I still have to listen to it, but I'll check out the book also. So Roko, what's one or two things you want people to walk away with on the topic of the power of focus?
I think it's do one thing, do it well, and energy will follow, to your quote at the beginning.
Thank you. Yeah, where focus goes, energy flows. What dawned on me when we were talking and you were talking is, when I think about what's one thing, is I would encourage to give yourself grace. Okay. And not beat yourself up. If you're trying to narrow down to get to one thing and you're like, there I go again, it's almost like meditation or anything else. Give yourself grace, set the intention for yourself, practice, because over time it gets easier to be able to step in and be in the moment and not go, oh my God, I got 15 other things. Yes, you do. And you always will, because if you're that person, you're always going to be that person. But put those aside in a parking lot and just stay in the moment and give yourself grace in the journey of practicing to better at focus. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Great topic.
I enjoy hanging out. Yeah. And hopefully it's that little snippet that someone goes, yes, I too can do this. So until next time, this is Leadership Soundbites with Roko and Michele. And so please like, share, subscribe. We appreciate your topics. And until next time.
Bye-bye.